For thousands of years, the whole story of ancient Egypt was totally locked away, hidden inside a language of silent symbols. Well, today, we're going to find the key.
I mean, think about it. How do you actually understand a civilization that just vanished thousands of years ago? How can we possibly hear their voices, get inside their heads, and learn their stories when their entire world is just gone?
Well, for ancient Egypt, the answer was, believe it or not, written in stone. And I mean that literally. The key to unlocking their whole world was just hiding in plain sight. It was carved onto massive temple walls, sealed up in tombs, just waiting for someone, anyone, to finally figure out how to read it.
So for almost 2,000 years, these beautiful, intricate symbols were completely silent, and they were everywhere. You'd see them on temples, on statues, on coffins. The ancient Greeks even gave them a name, hieroglyphs, which means sacred inscription. But nobody, and I mean nobody, had a clue what they actually meant. It was a totally lost language.
But then, that all changed. It changed with one single, incredible discovery. This is the story of how a piece of rock, of all things, gave a voice back to an entire civilization. It's an amazing story. Okay, so let's meet the hero of this story, the Rosetta Stone. Now, this thing was found way back in 1799 by a French soldier. And, it wasn't treasure like gold or jewels. It's this big slab of black basalt. Its real value, the thing that made it priceless, was the text carved into it. Turns out, it was a royal decree from a pharaoh named Ptolemy V.
And this is why it was the ultimate game changer. That decree? It wasn't written just once. It was written 3 times on the same stone. First, you have the formal hieroglyphic script, the fancy stuff for priests. Then you have demonic, which was kind of like the everyday common person script. And then, and this is the kicker, the third one was in ancient Greek, a language that scholars in the 1800s could actually read. That was it. That was the key they'd been looking for.
So who's the person who puts all this together? Enter our detective, this absolutely brilliant French scholar, Jean-François Champollion. This guy basically dedicated his entire life to solving this puzzle. And by painstakingly comparing those 3 scripts, he's the one who finally cracked the code.
Okay, so how on earth did he do it? It's actually a pretty clever bit of detective work. Champollion started with something he could recognize: names. He looked for a name he knew would be there, like Ptolemy in the Greek text. Then he hunted for a group of symbols in the hieroglyphs that repeated in the same places. He guessed, correctly, that those symbols must be the name Ptolemy. And luckily for him, pharaohs' names were always circled in this oval shape called a cartouche. So he could match the symbols to the sounds P, T, O, L, M, Y, S. And just like that, he started building a phonetic alphabet. That one little insight was the key that unlocked the whole thing.
And what he found was way bigger than just one set of symbols. Cracking the code revealed something pretty incredible. Hieroglyphs weren't just a single script. Nope, they were part of a whole family of writing systems that had changed and evolved over thousands of years. And you can really see this evolution. It's fascinating. It starts with the classic hieroglyphic. Those are the super detailed, formal carvings you see on big monuments. Then, that's simplified into something called hieratic. Think of it like cursive for priests, used for writing down literature and religious texts on papyrus. And finally, that evolved even further into Demotic, the popular script. This was basically the everyday shorthand for regular folks writing letters, drawing up contracts, real-life stuff.
But here's what was truly revolutionary. Buried inside these thousands of beautiful picture-like symbols, Champollion found something mind-blowing. There was a core set of just 24 symbols, and each one represented a single sound. Just like our own alphabet. This meant it wasn't just a bunch of pictures standing for words, it was a super sophisticated phonetic system.
And the language just kept on evolving. In its last ancient stage, which we call Coptic, Egyptians actually started writing their language using the Greek alphabet. They just added in 7 extra letters they borrowed from the Demotic script to cover sounds that Greek didn't have. And that was pretty much the version they used until the Arabic language gradually became more common in the region.
So, the big question is, once the code was finally cracked, what did we find? What were all these stories that had been locked away, silent for all those centuries? Well, it turns out it wasn't just boring records or religious texts. It was like discovering an entire lost library. We found incredible myths about how they believed the world was created. We found epic adventure stories, personal letters between friends and family.
We even found the words to songs that workers would sing out in the fields. The whole spectrum of human life was there.
And their writing could get incredibly personal and, well, human. Just take this line from a piece of wisdom literature, where a father is giving his son advice on how to be happy. It just goes to show, they weren't only thinking about gods and pharaohs. They were thinking about the same stuff we do, family, doing the right thing, and how to live a good life.
So you see, these texts did so much more than just tell us stories. They basically painted this incredibly vivid picture of their entire society, from the pharaoh living in a palace all the way down to the farmer working in the fields along the Nile.
And what the writings revealed was a really clear social structure. You had a pretty small group of nobles at the very top. That's your royal family, high priests, top officials. But the vast majority, the bulk of the population, were the common people. A huge chunk of them were farmers, the agricultural class, who really were the backbone of the whole society.
And I think this is the most powerful part. Ultimately, cracking this code gave a voice back to the everyday people who actually built Egypt. Now, for the first time in millennia, we can read the records and the stories of the artisans, the craftsmen, the builders, the fishermen, all of them. Their world is no longer silent.
So it kind of leaves you with this one big thought, right? If our entire digital world just vanished tomorrow, all our computers, our servers, the cloud, everything wiped out, what would be our Rosetta Stone? What single object could a future civilization find that would unlock our entire world, our languages, our stories? What would they need to find to understand